Hi, my name is Randy Botnick, and this is the third in a series of videos in which I am channeling information from the beings who I connect with called the Federation of Councils. And these beings are benevolent light beings made up of intergalactic beings and angels and ascended masters who are all here trying to help us move forward and progress through this time of ascension. I'm joined today by my friend Anthony, who has agreed to assist me because he's got tons of questions, and so his questions are enlightening for all of us, and they always touch on very deep situations in the world that are going on in the world today. And so I'm going to let Anthony ask the questions, and then I will get the answers for all of us.
Okay, first question is a general broad one that I hope touches with a lot of people watching this. I myself often feel like I'm currently living in two different worlds. For example, I'm in here with you and I'm communicating with beautiful galactic beings from the other side. And then I step away from here and I go off and I go to work and I pay the bills and I do all of those things. If it's true that we are in some sort of transformational process, an ascension, as we said in the other videos, I would have to guess that at some point these two worlds are going to come together. There's going to be a joining of those two separate experiences. Can your friends elaborate on that process?
And as you ask the question, I can really see the melding of the two, what you call different worlds, and what I see in my mind's eye as being actually different parts of the brain that are being stimulated at different times. And so, let me see if so the part of the brain that functions on the daily human level is a part that learns from a place of memorizing information. Because you see, we pay our bills and do the dishes and the laundry from a place of knowing already how to do these things. They're familiar to us because we've learned them as children. This other place, and I'm sorry, Randy's mind is coming in to ask if this is actually what you meant by this question, but the information that's coming in is saying the place of picking up information that is metaphysical is a completely different part of the brain. It's the middle section of the brain that becomes activated by the pineal gland to receive information that is beyond the five senses. There will definitely be a time when it feels much more integrated than it does now. So before I go on, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So when that becomes more integrated is a time when human beings will be able to access and use more of the brain at the same time than we use now. It has been said that human beings only use 10% of the brain, but in reality, it's 10% of the brain at any given time. And as human beings evolve over the next 300 years, more of the brain will be able to be accessed at the same time, so that the physical and metaphysical begin to flow into each other much more easily, as they often do for people who channel more often or do channeling as a business.
is there anything that we should be doing to help this process along, or is this a process that just gradually happens?
The answer is yes to both of those questions. The types of exercises that enhance this awakening of the brain are exercises that include visualization and the practice of feeling and sensing beyond the five senses. So it's about building up intuition and opening to that sixth sense. And as your body is ready for this, you will partake in more of these exercises seemingly automatically, or because you're suddenly very interested in doing that.
Since we're all doing this together, this is from the last video, Mother Earth, Gaia, whatever you want to call her, has chosen to participate in this ascension process. We're all doing it together.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you questions on how what you just told me relates to global events or the bigger scale. We just talked about a personal scale. Let's widen it out. First, I won't even guide you. Let me just ask them to comment on how this process will show itself in the public. Let's just say that. How this process will play itself out globally, if they can comment on that.
More and more people are awakening all of the time. It's just the natural movement of life. It's just what's happening. And everybody is, so of the billions of people on this planet, everybody is in a different place within their own soul evolution as to how quickly and how far they will grow in each lifetime. And so the question, purposely broad, is almost too broad to answer because yes, more and more people are awakening, and at the same time often doing it in different ways, and at the same time often doing it in similar ways. The matrix or fabric of that, and when we say fabric, we want you to imagine woven fabric, and so you can see the threads all interwoven with each other in a brilliant, beautiful pattern, is almost too detailed to discuss from this broad question.
All right, let me be a little more specific, and this is a question from one of Randy's clients, and maybe this will move the conversation in that direction. How do we make sense of all the suffering going on in the world? If this is a benevolent process, this ascension process, how do we make sense of people starving, people living in poverty, violence? How does that fold into the process of something on a grander scale that we know is, let's, for lack of a better phrase, a good thing?
So none of these horrible human conditions are ascension-based or even God-based. These are human conditions brought on by human choices. And the awakening comes from the numbers, the vast numbers, the enormous numbers of people who care more than they used to, who cry out more loudly than ever before, and from the technology that allows everybody access to the information so that it travels and creates waves of compassion throughout the world. Suffering in and of itself, again, that is a man-made phenomenon that is not part of ascension specifically. However, the souls that have agreed to be in places where suffering occurs are doing it at a beautiful sacrifice to themselves as human beings. They come in, some certainly come in from a place of being new souls that are learning from very base root levels of survival, but others come in that are very highly evolved souls who have agreed to this earthly experience in order to help others awaken up out of their own malaise and out of their own daze, and to push the veil back so they can see more of what is occurring on this planet than ever before has been seen, although it's existed for millions of years now. So I think that's it.
Okay.